Hi, welcome to another edition of SOG Ludu Television. I'm reaching you from the beautiful city of Kigali, Rwanda. Yes, the same one, Hotel Rwanda. You watched that movie? Actually, the hotel is actually just down the corner here. But look at the beautiful sights in my background here. This week, though, the topic that I'll be sharing is on customer divestment. When do you decide to let the customer go? Very tough question for most businesses. But let's start by defining who the customer is. The customer is the recipient of your product or your service, the one who consumes what you have. Note that the customer does not necessarily need to part with money to be called a customer, because there are three basic categories of customer. You have the existing, who patronizes and buys from you. But you also have the prospects, who have not bought from you, but should be marketed and pursued. The third category are influencers, who may never buy from you, but their views and opinion about you matters and actually determines what others do with you. However, customer divestment implies again, when do you decide to let the customer go? To come to that decision, it's important to profile your customers all the time by way of what revenues do you get from the customer relative to what it costs you to serve that customer. Where the revenue is reasonably more than the costs, then you make a profit. But there are times where it's costing you a bit more to serve the customer than the revenue generated. So you may not be making a profit or much profit. My advice is you still keep the customer if that customer is an influencer whose view or opinion sooner or later adds significant brand equity to your business. However, where the revenue is nowhere commensurate to the costs and there's no brand equity or influence value you can get from the customer, then that is the time to divest. However, before you divest, you need to check, are there things you can drop by way of service or product or features or benefits of what you're currently doing to reduce your cost in a discussion with the customer that the customer may not really mind, rather than increase the rates or the price of your service? Or you also need to check very well, what is competition doing? Are you able to use, for example, technology to improve the quality of your product or service rather than let the customer go? Now, if you must let a customer go, however, it's important also that you make sure the divestment process happens in a way that is reasonably mutually beneficial, if there's such a word in customer divestment. What I mean is, give the customer reasonable notice, help make the pathing of ways reasonably stress-free for the customer as well, not just for you. Give them reasonable notice period for them to find an alternative, and then it's okay to divest. You know, it is often said that the customer is king, and some actually say the customer is a god with a small g. They're right in both respects, but that is a profitable customer or one that brings value to you. That's the one that is king or a god with a small g. I must caution though that a complaining customer or a difficult customer is not necessarily an unprofitable customer. In fact, complaining customers are about the best set of customers you can have, because they'll tell you what you're not doing right, they tell you what the competition is doing, they demand value for the money, and that helps you to improve on your products or services and able to retain them if you get it right and attract more. And it's proven that the most difficult customers are often the most profitable customers. So you want to make a lot more money, then start looking at the complaining customer or difficult customer differently. Let me conclude with 4 reasons perhaps that are most appropriate to lead you to take that decision to divest from a customer. 1, when the productivity or profitability of the customer is constantly in decline. 2, where the productivity of your staff that you are deploying to service or manage an unprofitable relationship also begins to decline. 3, if your business model is changing such that you're no longer in that field or that sector or that industry or able to produce that product. And final reason to divest from a customer that is not profitable is where the cost of serving that customer becomes just unbearable. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you've enjoyed this week's edition of SOG Ludo Television, let me hear your comment on the topic. And perhaps more importantly, let me have your feedback on what you want me to talk about next week and subsequent weeks. Because the topics that I talk about most weeks now come from the SOG Ludo Television community. And should you require my services or want to discuss personal growth challenges or business growth challenges with me, please contact me through the email that you see on the screen or the website. Until next week, I look forward to sharing with you again. Have a wonderful week.